Ladies and gentlemen, it's been one hell of a week. Happy end of the week, ladies and gentlemen. Again, if you're watching this segment on our social medias, I do want to say thank you to everyone who listened to 30. Hope and Audience 30 is out on Spotify exclusively. I'm really, really happy about it because even though 30 was an album that came out about a month ago, we were able to have it back out for Spotify. So I encourage people, if you like good music, 30 is something that I've worked really, really, really hard on. So please check out 30. Check out all the music that, K.L.P Music Group have produced over the year and a half or so. So I do say to a lot of people, thank you guys so very much. Again, it's been one hell of a week. I've been in my mood lately. I've been in the mood lately. I've seen it all over social media. It's been the topic of conversation. And I just wanted to talk about it because it's just something that just, it gets to you after a while, right? And I want to pose this question at the end of the week, right? We're getting closer to the weekend. And I think what I'm going to do is, one thing that I like to do is I like to be able to treat myself something very, very good to eat for dinner. And I'm learning to do things by myself, right? To go to these restaurants, go to these nice restaurants by myself. You guys don't know, I was able to go to Cancun by myself, and that was a fun experience, but it was an interesting experience. So I was just thinking about it, and I want to pose this question to everybody out there for social media, our Instagram accounts, Facebook, and TikTok. I just want to ask somebody this question. Whoever's watching, this is an open-ended question, really. Do you have a list of people that you would like to take on a date? Right? I posed that question, and I do have a list of girls that I would like to take on a date, that I know personally, that I don't know personally, that I've met one time, right? Just to see how they are, right? To really get to know someone. And it's almost like, I guess it's almost like going on a blind date, kind of, but like, you're going on a full date with that one person, right? And you really know the person, but you never really experience their company. And I always wondered that because, a lot of people have a lot of lists for a lot of things, right? A lot of people got a lot of lists for, who they would hook up with, who they would sleep with, who would they go to church with, who would they eat with, who would they go to the gym with, right? My list, I won't express the girls on my list. Maybe I'll do that one day when I feel comfortable doing that. But, I always just wonder, for everybody out there, do you have a list for my guys, do you have a list of girls? Or if you swing the other way, if you got a list of guys, you want to take on a date, hey, we don't judge on our platform. But like for my fellas, if you got a list of girls that you know or you met or I don't want to say work with because it's kind of like a HR thing. Like I wouldn't suggest taking somebody that you work closely with at work out to dinner because that's inappropriate, right? But just somebody that you don't work with, you don't really have an accolade at work, but you know that you want to take out on a date to really get to know that person, right? I know that sounds so cliche. I know that sounds so mushy, right? Lovey-dovey mushy, but I think about these things, right? I think about, and I know it's corny, but I also dream about it too. Like I dream about several girls that are on my list that, man, if I take her to this spot, how would she react? If I took her here, would she enjoy it? Right? What kind of conversations would we have? Will we have intellectual conversations? Right? Because for me, when I go on a date, I don't like to talk so much, right? Because I like whoever girl that I'm going out to dinner with, like I want her to have interest. I want her to speak. I want her to talk and have an opinion. But what I like to do is I like to make intellectual conversations, right? Intellectual conversations that make sense, right? It's so tricky because although I post about Gen Z on Coffee Talk, right? That clip's been out, but I wouldn't want to take a girl out that's in Gen Z generation that can't hold a conversation. Because as a podcaster, as a broadcaster, and a radio personality, my job is to talk, right? And if I'm able to talk, that's a blessing, right? And for that date, I will feel bad because, if you don't like to talk, then it's like, what are we doing on this date, right? Because if we're having one-sided conversation, and if we're having it's one-sided, and I'm doing all the talking, and she doesn't really have a lot of input or engagement in this conversation, and it's very dry, and she's giving me one answer answers if I ask a question, like, if, what are your favorite hobbies? What do you like to get into? And then we have a deeper conversation. If she can't formulate sentences and give me a full sentence at a time, then it's like, okay, are you enjoying this date? And it's tricky, fellas, because, there are some women out there in the world that, I ain't picking on women, but like, there are some women that are just looking for a free meal, right? So I do have a list of women that I believe that I won't be taken advantage of, right? She might enjoy the date. For me, I try to, and I'm not trying to play big step or big ball of hope, but if I'm going on a date, I'm one of those people where, and call me a simp if you will, I'm one of those guys that if we're going on a date, I'm going to pick a very, very, very good restaurant. Not Chick-fil-A, not Chipotle, not Zaxby's. Those restaurants are good. I go to those restaurants a lot too. Well, not a lot, but if I'm going on a date, I'm going to either A, a unique restaurant that I normally don't go to, or B, a nice fancy restaurant. Now, honestly, I'm going to sit there and say it on this segment, guys. I think Ruth Chris is kind of played out. I'm not hating on the restaurant. I'm sure it's a good restaurant. I just think going to Ruth Chris as a date is kind of played out because there's so many exquisite cuisines out there that suits better, right? My go-to date for one of them is Little Alley Steakhouse, right? Because it's just such a vibe. Not the Roswell location, but the Buckhead location. That's the best one. I would take a girl out to that date, right? The Little Alley's Steakhouse. And I think it's a moment for me that girls that are on my list that I would take out to a date, I would see if she never been to those type of restaurants before. And if she hasn't been to those restaurants before, because again, shout out to Little Alley Steakhouse, that's a very expensive restaurant. She haven't been because it's expensive. So my enjoyment is girls on my list. I'll express my list when I feel comfortable. If you guys want me to express my list of girls that I would take out on a date, let me know. But we ain't gonna do it on this segment. But if a girl never been to Ruth Chris, or I'm sorry, Little Alley Steakhouse, and I am able to take her to that restaurant and really get to share the enjoyment of that restaurant. It is the dim lighting, the food is scrumptious, right? The waiter staff is amazing. The music is a vibe. I remember the last time I went to Lily Alley Steakhouse, I took my mom for Mother's Day, and we were dressed up. That's another thing for me. My list of girls, if you're getting some girls, they're on this list. You got to look nice for me, right? I'm not saying put on some joggers and some slides and call it a day. No, I want you in a dress or a skirt. I want your makeup did. I want you in high heels, right? Again, looks is not so much of everything for me, but like I need my list of girls that are on this list to look really, really nice. If we're going to a very, very expensive, fancy, nice restaurant, I need you to look your best, right? Because I don't want to sling around somebody that's wearing joggers and sweats and slides and calling it a date, right? Because I've had some dates where girls rock some jeans with the holes in it and a t-shirt and call it a day. I'm not taking you nowhere, right? For me, if I'm going to Little Alley Steakhouse, I'm wearing a nice dress-up, button-up. I'm probably wearing a sports coat over it, slacks, black shoes, black socks, black underwear, right? I'm rocking out my full attire if I'm going to those type of restaurants, if I'm going on a date. But I would go to Little Alley Steakhouse. If a girl that's on my list that haven't been to that restaurant, I would go take her to that restaurant and just really watch how much fun she's gonna have at that restaurant, how much enjoyment she'll have going to a restaurant that she haven't been before, and she's having a great time. For me, That's my enjoyment, right? Yes, it's a $200 bill. Yes, call me crazy. For a girl that I really want to get to know and potentially become my girlfriend and potentially become my lover, right? Potentially become a friendship or in that situation or friendship a situation, I'm going to spend $200 on that date for somebody that is truly, truly special for me. Call me crazy. Some people say, oh, no, Kennedy, you're a simp. I understand it from that perspective, but that is something that I would do. And it's a fun experience. But again, hopefully it comes one day, right? I've been seeing on TikTok and social media, you know, I'm learning to be patient. I'm learning, and I talked about God, and God's trying to take you to where you're trying to go. I'm a firm believer in that, ladies and gentlemen. But, you know, I was in that funk this week because I was just thinking about it. And, you know, just to when you have dreams about not several girls at the same time, but if you have dreams about a girl that you're really trying to get to know, because I've had dreams about several women that I was trying to get to know and really get to know, and have an interest, right? Dreams are powerful. Like, I feel like dreams like that, it's like God's trying to show you what he's cooking up, but he's giving you kind of like a sneak preview. I feel, right? Call me corny, call me mushy, call me cheesy, but that's just something that I'm a firm believer in it, right? There's some people I had to let go because God said, hey, you need to let that person go because that is not the one that I picked out for you, right? But I'm still yearning that moment to where I'm able to take, hopefully some of these girls that are on my list or in my mind, this list of girls that I would love to take out to dinner. And I would say this to say, I wouldn't want to, from the first date, I don't want to take a girl out for dinner because I'm trying to have sex with that woman. That's never my prerogative, right? Call me corny, call me cheesy, but I'm that type of person that if I'm taking you out on our first date, I'm paying for the date, we're enjoying each other's company. The most that I would want is to get your number. But here's how I would do it. What I would do is, when the date's going good, and I think you would need to get the number beforehand if you are taking your date yourself, right? I've had moments where I picked a date up and we took my car to the restaurant. Some girls in this generation, to which I understand, some girls in this generation, they want to drive themselves to the date because there are some creepy men out here in this world. That's unfortunate for us men, but there are some creepy men out here in this world. So if my first date, she says, hey, Kennedy, if you don't mind, I want to drive myself to the location. I get it. I understand it. I completely understand, right? There's no animosity there. There's no hatred. I have a really, really nice Mazda Miata we can ride with the top down. It's a really nice, fun sports car, but I understand it, right? I get it. We show up to that date and we have a rocking good time. And at most on the first date, hey, I would say this towards the end of the day, it's like, hey, I really had a great time. I'm not trying to make a move. I'm not trying to do anything extra. Would it be cool if I got your number? Or this is something I would do. If she says no, then I would say, okay, well, how about this? How about I give you my number? Right? This is me. This is what I would do. Tell the girl, I'm going to give you my number, and that is completely up to you if you send me a text. I won't bug you. I won't bother you. I would like to take you out on another date so we can see how further we can go. But here's my number. Right? Here's my number. You text me. You can call me if you like. I'll pick up on first ring. You drive carefully back home. Hopefully you enjoyed the restaurant. It's been cool. And then you wait. It sucks for us guys because we have to wait, right? But you wait. Because I'm a firm believer, if you are able to wait for that special someone that is worth waiting for, you will wait. That's the same thing what God is saying. God's going to put you in relationships, and God's going to show you your partner if you are willing to wait. right? I'm still waiting. There's quite a few girls that I still like that I'm still waiting, right? It's been some months now. God knows it's been some months, but I'm more than willing to wait because if she's not ready, she don't want to know me yet, I am willing to wait. And if it never comes, then that's the point where, hey, you just got to let it go, right? That's just my take. That's just kind of what I've been feeling this towards the end of the week. And I want to give you guys another juicy conversation. You know, Coffee Talk, we talk about stuff, but we talk about news. And, you know, we got what had happened was we talk about some news stuff. But I wanted to make a segment to where I can get a little bit vulnerable for you guys in this content. You guys kind of like my vulnerableness of it. So comment below who, and you don't have to, fellas don't, and ladies can participate in this too. Don't put yourself on blast unless you want to. Comment below, do you have a list of girls? I'm speaking for my fellas on that term. Also speaking for my ladies, do you have a list of guys that you would love to get to know and take on a date? Comment below. We want to hear from you.